Oh, hey there. Welcome back to the shop. Welcome back to your daily dose of two-stroke fun, working on old two-stroke cars and trucks and vans. What do we have here? We have a 1969 Subaru 360 that I'm trying to finish up for my customer. This van's been with me for a while. We did a special short on the e-brake cables yesterday or the day before. And now we're getting it running, getting it going, getting it safe, getting it reliable, all the things that you need to have in a classic two-stroke sub 1,000-pound vehicle. So if you're not familiar, this is a 1969 Subaru 360 van. It's in pretty good shape. Some of the chrome and bits are really, really nice. It has a fresh paint job. And what are we doing? Oh yeah, we're working on the brakes. So we got the brakes all back together. Master cylinder is under this panel, the front panel here, or this front floorboard section comes off. These pedals actually unscrew. I've been working under here trying to get things greased and lubed. Everything is stuck and just atrophied from sitting around. So let's take a look at what we've been doing. If you don't know, there is a grease fitting right there where this green grease is leaking out. And you can put grease in that nipple and it greases all the clutch bushing, which is this one right here, this lever. The brake pedal and the gas pedal is separate. The gas pedal is here. So it's really, you can see the grease coming out here. This thing hadn't been greased in forever. I could just tell the clutch was really, really stiff. So that's one nice thing we did. Another thing that I noticed while I was working underneath here is that our ball joints, our tie rod ends are bad. Look at this. I'm grabbing the wheel here with my left hand on the back of the wheel, and I'm pushing left and pulling in. And you can see as I do that, the ball and the socket move. These are very hard to find. In fact, they're impossible to find, but I have found a BMW 3 Series that is sort of close. Also got in here and greased the kingpins, which is this little grease nipple on top of your kingpin area. And what do? We fixed the the manual steering rack. And also there's a grease fitting in the center of that greases as you turn left and right the rack and pinion. So again, we got our e-brake cables in. We got the kingpin greased on the passenger side. And then moving towards the back here, we did some fancy footwork, is what I call it. We put in a new fuel pump. The fuel tank is right here, and the exit of the tank is right there. And you want the pump to be as close to the exit of the tank so the gravity from this tank, which there's not a long path, it's only a couple inches, will flow to the pump. These pumps pump well, but they don't suck well. So the pump that was on this car was up by the tailgate, and it was terrible. It would just rattle and crackle and pop because it couldn't suck fuel from the tank. So this is a more modern pump I put in right on the frame rail. It's in a cool spot. You do have to run the outlet of the pump up and over the exhaust. Everything in this area is hot. You don't want vapor lock. You don't want your fuel line to rest on the exhaust. That creates a fire problem. So that's the best spot to put a electric fuel pump on a van. And the reason that vans have an auxiliary pump, I'll go through this in a minute, they actually had a pulse pump off the engine from the factory, was because of the tank's location. The tank is actually a little lower than the engine. On the cars, they're gravity fed. The tank is above the engine and it just gravity feeds. No gravity feed here, or at least we're trying to make it gravity feed the best possible way. So you can see where my outlet of the tank is, runs right into my filter, which then goes into the pump, and then up and around. And let's show you a couple more things we got going on. This is a Subaru 360 tech session. A lot of people have never seen these things, and they really want to know more about them. They're very rare. Only 2,000 of these vans were ever imported. Okay, so this fuel pump here was the fuel pump, and it was located right about here. Terrible position for it. Totally gets heat soaked from the muffler, which is right there, radiating heat upwards. And there's just a lot going on here. And as soon as I pulled the pump out, you can see this bellows is torn. This is the main cooling for the whole engine. This vent here on the side of the car is here to draw in air from the fan, which is right here. These are air-cooled engines. So it pulls cool air from the vent on the outside of the car through the fan, across the cylinders, and out the back. Well, if you have a torn boot like this, you are pulling in hot air from your exhaust pipe and your muffler, which is going to preheat the air and not cool the engine. It will seize. This is bad. But there's a couple things going on here. Not only do we have a broken bellows, the accordion piece here, they typically don't break like that. Look closely. See the angle of this thing and the angle of the vent? We've got an angle kind of coming down like this, and then we've got an angle like this. That's not right. This intake part for the fan is for a car, not a van. I happen to have a used one here, and I'll show you. The angle is quite sharper so that this bellows is not put into a pinch and it doesn't rip like that. Now this one is not in good shape, but I've pretty much opened up a can of worms here. So we've got to change out that intake for the fan, change out the bellows, and then we got to fix all the rust on this somehow. So to make it all work, that's what's got to happen. Also, I was telling you earlier about the fuel pump. This is the factory fuel pump on either a truck or a Subaru 360 van, and it's a pulse pump. In other words, there's a hole in the side of the engine, and compression moves a little diaphragm back and forth. I don't think it matters if the pump is on there. I'm going to cap this just to make sure, but we don't want to be losing any pulses from the engine. Sometimes that'll create a vacuum leak. I've seen people take these pumps off and they just leave the hole exposed, so you've got one cylinder running leaner than the other. That's not good. We also fixed the air filter. The nut had fallen off, so it was just pulling in hot air. It's really critical having a rear engine, hot engine in the back of a van that has no real good airflow to it, that you need as much cooling air as possible. So the cooling air for the combustion comes through this tube, which actually comes from the frame rail all the way from the front bumper. And that's critical to have nice cool combustion air as well as nice cool cooling air for the engine. If you don't have those two, this engine setup will not last. So I think that's a lot for you to digest. Maybe too much, maybe not enough. Let me know what you think. But that's your Subaru 360 tech tip and check for the day. Check, I don't know. Kind of a workup. Do your homework. Thanks for watching my channel. Hope you like these little two-stroke vans just as much as I do. I think you do. Everyone's asking for more. I'll see you on the next video.